It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a giant rat? Today I'm talking about a very special and unexpected hero. No, not the kind who wears a cape and can bench press a car, but one who has the power of smell that can sniff out tuberculosis and landmines. So yes, it's a rat. But these guys have saved more lives than Superman. And with that, welcome to the Goodish news channel. I'm Ashley, your professional pessimist. In an effort to be more optimistic, I'm bringing you news that won't leave you feeling depressed. So while what I share with you might not be great news, it's at least good-ish. National Geographic featured the nonprofit Apopo and their effort to sniff out tuberculosis and landmines with African giant pouched rats. For this story, I'll just be focusing on the tuberculosis aspect, but I encourage you to look up how they're saving lives with their ability to detect landmines. And they wear the cutest little vests. Truly a win-win.
Win.
Yes, thank you, Pam.
For us Westerners, TB isn't something we even really think about, but it's a huge problem for a lot of people around the world. In 2023, 1.25 million people died from tuberculosis. While a lot of us Americans assume TB is a disease that was just a problem in the 1800s, it's the #1 cause of death globally from a single infectious pathogen. Things like undernutrition and a high occurrence of HIV exacerbate the effects of TB. This disease is far from eradicated. One of the most challenging aspects of the disease is accurately detecting TB. Due to inadequate testing or weak samples, people are often given a false negative. As you might expect, this isn't great. But surprisingly, rats are scuttling in to help stop the spread of TB. The African giant pouched rat has an amazing sense of smell, is smarter than a lot of dogs, and is easily trainable. 3 very important things when you're trying to detect a highly contagious and life-threatening disease. They can get up to 3 feet long from the tip of their nose to the end of their tail and can weigh 9 pounds. Every New Yorker's worst nightmare. But don't worry, these aren't your typical big city rats. Apopo collects negative TB samples every day from local clinics in Tanzania and Ethiopia and brings them back for the rats to test in the lab. Now you might be wondering, what do the samples consist of? Well, it's sputum. And if you don't want to hear about sputum, maybe cover your ears for the next few seconds. Sputum, also known as phlegm, is a thick, sticky mucus that is produced in the lungs. It traps bacteria, viruses, dust, and other irritants. When you come down with certain illnesses, your lungs produce an abundance of sputum. You've most likely had a terrible chest cold and know exactly what I'm talking about. To detect tuberculosis, a sputum sample is collected. The rats give the samples the good old smell test. If they indicate that it's positive for tuberculosis, Apopo retests the sample with a more sensitive process to confirm. Surprisingly, even when the retest shows the sample is negative, the patient often starts developing TB symptoms within the next 6 months, suggesting the rats are able to detect the disease in its latent stages, which traditional testing just can't do. These rats are no slouches. They go through a year-long training process to be able to accurately detect tuberculosis. To quote Apopo's head TB physician Tefera Agazu and their head of training Cindy Fast, training takes thousands and thousands of samples. Because the rat's not only smelling the bacteria, he's smelling the individual person. Fast explains, he's smelling what you ate for breakfast. He's smelling the dirty bus that you rode on to come to the health clinic. So the rat has to learn to not identify the individual, but the presence of that bacteria. In order for the rats to finish their training, they must be able to correctly evaluate 500 samples without missing a single positive sample. They work for several years and truly seem to enjoy their work. Because TB is so contagious, for each infection detected by a rat, it's estimated that 10 to 15 more people are saved from contracting the disease. Who knew a giant rodent can make such a giant difference? Much like clicking the like button on this video, a small action that leads to a big difference for us small creators. Sorry for the shameless plug. Anyway, don't worry, the rats aren't working hard for no pay. They get rewarded with snacks after every successful detection. So basically, they're living the dream, saving lives and getting paid in food. Sign me up.
You wanted cake, you got cake. Now eat it!
Archaeologists work their entire lives to uncover ancient finds, so it must really sting when a 3-year-old stumbles upon an ancient amulet while out on a nature walk. Zeev Nietzsche, a toddler with a propensity to collect rocks, like most 3-year-olds, was out on a walk with her family on a Saturday morning when she picked up a small round stone off the ground. She dusted it off and noticed that it wasn't like the other rocks she collects. Well, it turns out it was a 3,800-year-old Egyptian amulet. The stone is shaped in the design of a scarab or dung beetle. Yep, those dung beetles.
For him, the dung ball is huge, and it sometimes has a mind of its own.
But in ancient Egypt, they were revered for being more than just poop pushers. They were considered sacred and symbolized new life. The scarab was used often in seals and amulets during the Middle Bronze Age, which spanned from 2100 to 1600 BC. Zeev made the discovery in an area about 40 miles south of Tel Aviv called Tel Azika. This area is a significant archaeological site and is believed to have been the location where David and Goliath had their infamous biblical showdown. After the discovery, Zeev's parents turned the amulet over to the Israeli Antiquities Authority. Archaeologists have been excavating in Tel Azika for almost 15 years, and Zeev's amulet fits right in with the other Egyptian and Canaanite discoveries made in the area. There are over 35,000 known archaeological sites in Israel, so it's not unheard of for someone to stumble across an ancient find. Zeev was awarded a certificate by the Antiquities Authority, and they're planning to stop by Zeev's sister's school to talk to their classmates. The amulet will be displayed in a Passover exhibit in mid-April. 3 might be a little young to impress a career upon a child, but Zeev should consider archaeology. She obviously has a talent for it, and someone needs to take over the Indiana Jones reins from Harrison Ford.
You know how to fly, don't you?
No. Do you?
California is doing something weird. They're putting dirt on a freeway. Well, above the freeway if you want to get technical. Don't worry, this isn't a random act of landscaping gone rogue. This is the Wallace-Annenberg Wildlife Crossing in Agora Hills, and it's going to be the world's largest wildlife crossing, spanning the 101 freeway. Yeah, they're building a bridge for animals, because wherever you find humans, you're probably going to find roads. And those roads can cut off wildlife from important resources, leading to a decline in their population and diversity. Not to mention, it's a literal game of Frogger for these animals when they do attempt to cross the road.
Jerry, I've been preparing for this moment my entire life.
This bridge will hopefully fix the issue of inbreeding among small mountain lion populations isolated by the freeway. Inbreeding leads to birth defects and a shortened lifespan. If the mountain lions are able to diversify their population, hopefully their numbers will increase and their genetic issues will decrease. Construction on the bridge began in 2022 and is expected to be completed in 2026. At this point in the project, crews are beginning to place soil on the wildlife overpass. This will take several weeks and involves 6,000 cubic yards of dirt. This is enough soil to cover 3/4 of a football field in soil that's 2.5 feet deep. Once the soil is done, native plants like buckwheat, milkweed, and coastal sage will be planted. Not only will they be planted on the crossing, but also 12 acres of land on both sides of the crossing. Wade Crowfoot, the secretary for the California Natural Resources Agency, said, "There's been a growing awareness in California as we're working to protect our nature, our biodiversity, that we can't just restore and protect habitat. We actually have to build connectivity between habitat." So yes, I'm telling you a story about dirt, but it's important dirt. Hopefully this dirt will prevent mountain lions from having 10 legs and 3 heads, and you thought a regular mountain lion was scary.
If you're calm, that wondrous big cat will be calm too. But if you're scared, that beautiful death machine will do what God made it to do, namely, eat you with a smile on its face.
If you're looking for more good news in your life, be sure to check out my video from last week where I discuss an upcoming commencement speech to be given by a very important amphibian, a search and rescue mission in Alaska, and some facts from the annual World Happiness Report. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing so we can ignore all the bad news together.